there's a specific kind of panic that I think is unique to the modern office worker.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's 2:00 p.m. You've got a meeting in 10 minutes. You open up one of those early AI chatbots, the ones we were all so dazzled by a couple of years ago, and you ask it a serious question.
Really important question.
Yeah, something like, based on the Q3 projections, should we expand the marketing budget for the new product launch?
And you just see the cursor blinking, it's thinking, it looks very, very busy.
Right, and then it comes back totally confident and says, yes, you should definitely expand the budget. Also, don't forget to order extra pepperoni for the team lunch on Friday.
Ah, the classic hallucination.
Exactly. It just grabs a snippet from some random Teams chat 3 weeks ago about a pizza party, and it smashes it together with your financial strategy.
It's funny when you see it in the screenshot, but it's actually terrifying if you're trying to, run a company.
It is the hallucination problem, but if we dig a little deeper, it's really a context problem. We spent the last few years marveling at how smart these models are, generally. I mean, they can write poetry, they can code in Python.
But we're finding out they're surprisingly dumb, specifically. They see your data, but they don't have a clue what any of it means.
They can read the words, but they don't understand the business. And that is exactly the gap we are exploring today. We're doing a deep dive into the architecture that is supposed to fix this. We're looking at something called the enterprise ontology.
Which, I admit, sounds like a Philosophy 101 course that you slept through in college.
It really does. Yeah. Ontology just sounds heavy. But what it really is, it's the operating system for business logic.
Yeah.
It's the difference between an AI that just guesses based on keywords and an AI that actually shares a brain with your company.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We are tracking a massive shift in the industry right now. We're moving away from tools that are just designed for human analysts to look at data and toward a world of autonomous AI agents that can actually do the work.
And to keep this grounded, we're zooming in specifically on Microsoft's approach. Because, there are 100 ways to skin this cat, but Microsoft is trying to do something pretty distinct. They want to democratize this business brain.
They're arguing you shouldn't need a PhD in data science to build these agents. You just need to know how your business works.
Right. If you can use Excel or Power BI, you should be able to build the brain that runs the agents. That's the pitch, anyway.
Yeah.
So let's start with the landscape. When we looked at the research, there seems to be this philosophical divide in how tech companies are building these systems. It's almost like two different religions in the data world.
It really is. On one side, you have what we call the investigative approach. This has been the dominant model for high-end data platforms for a while now.
Those are the Sherlock Holmes model.
Exactly. Picture a detective board in a movie, You've got the red string connecting photos and bank accounts, locations on a map. This approach is graph first. It is built specifically to help a human expert, like a fraud investigator or maybe an intelligence analyst, connect these very complex dots.
So in that scenario, the AI isn't doing the job.
Yeah.
The AI is just serving up the evidence so the human can do the job.
Precisely. The brain of that system usually lives inside this kind of walled garden application. It's incredibly powerful, but its output is insight. It shows you a pattern and says, hey, human, look at this weird connection.
Which is great if you're hunting money launderers or trying to stop a cyber attack. But Microsoft is betting on the other side of the coin, the operational approach.
Right. And here's the why. If you look at a standard Fortune 500 company or even just a mid-sized business, they don't have 10,000 murder mysteries to solve every day.
No.
They have 10,000 operational tasks, supply chain updates, customer support tickets, invoice processing.
Like boring stuff. The stuff that actually keeps the lights on.
The high-volume stuff. In this world, the bottleneck isn't figuring out the mystery. The bottleneck is just getting the work done. So Microsoft isn't building a system primarily for deep analysis. They are building a system for action.
For execution.
They want autonomous agents to execute those tasks.
But here's the rub. If you give an AI the power to act, to actually approve that invoice or, move that inventory, you better be 100% sure it understands the rules. You can't have it hallucinating pizza orders into the global supply chain.
And that brings us to, I think, the most critical concept in this entire stack, the semantic contract.
I love this term. It sounds like something you sign with a high-priced lawyer, but it's for robots. Break this down for us. What is a semantic contract?
Think of it as the rule of law for the agent. In the investigative model, the Sherlock Holmes one, you usually rely on prompt engineering. You write a really long, complex prompt, hoping the AI understands what you want.
Please act as a senior accountant, don't make mistakes, and please be nice, basically.
Right, and you just cross your fingers. Microsoft's approach is different. The semantic contract is a hard-coded set of definitions and rules. It explicitly defines what a customer is. It explicitly states any shipment over $50,000 requires level 3 human approval.
So it's not a suggestion, it's a constraint.
It's a validation layer, and this is the key difference. In the old model, the system gives you data. In this new model, the agent reasons about what it wants to do, and then the system checks that reasoning against the semantic contract.
It's like the system checks the agent's homework before it turns it in?
Exactly. The agent says, I want to approve this shipment. The system looks at the contract and says, wait, the value is $55,000. The rule says stock, permission denied. That validation is what makes it safe to let these things run autonomously.
So we're moving from AI as a search engine to AI as an employee with a very strict handbook.
A handbook it literally cannot ignore. It's binding.
Okay, so that's philosophy. We want action, not just investigation. But for the agent to even try to do the work, it needs to see the information. We talked about the pizza order earlier. That happened because the AI was looking at the wrong stuff. It was mixing up social chatter with business data.
Right. It had access to data, but no context for it. It didn't know that lunch order is not business strategy.
So how does Microsoft stop the AI from getting confused? Because in my company, I mean, data is everywhere. It's in emails, it's in PDFs, it's in SQL databases. It's a mess.
It's usually in 3 separate universes. You've got your collaboration universe, that's Teams, Outlook. You've got your analytics universe, Power BI, dashboards. And you've got your app universe, your CRM, your custom internal tools.
And usually those 3 don't speak the same language.
They barely acknowledge each other's existence. Microsoft's solution is the unified context layer. They are trying to build one brain that spans all 3 universes. And to make it manageable, they break it down into 3 distinct IQs.
Okay, let's peel these layers back because this is the actual architecture of the brain. First up, we have work IQ.
This is the productivity brain. This connects to your Microsoft 365 data. Now, we've had search in Outlook for 20 years, right? That's not new.
Right.
The upgrade here is conversational memory and structured reasoning.
Conversational memory, meaning it remembers that I asked about the Project Alpha deadline yesterday, so I don't have to explain it again today.
Exactly. It maintains the thread. It knows who you are and what you've been working on. But the more impressive part to me is how it handles files. It can now reason over structured metadata in SharePoint.
Give me a real-world example of that, because usually when I think of SharePoint, I just think of a place where files go to die.
Okay. Imagine a folder full of car manuals, thousands of PDFs. A standard AI just sees a mountain of text. It has to read everything to find anything.
Yeah.
Work IQ sees the columns. It sees make, model, year, engine type.
So it treats the documents like a database.
Yes. It can filter. It can say, I am looking for the manual where year equals 2024 and model equals sedan. It distinguishes between documents based on their structure, not just the text inside them. That makes it infinitely faster and more accurate.
Okay, so that's Work IQ handling our files and chats. Next is Fabric IQ. This seems to be the heavy hitter for the actual business logic.
This is the business data brain. This is where you define that ontology we talked about. This is centered on something called one lake.
One lake. One lake to rule them all.
Basically, the idea is you define a concept once, take revenue. In most companies, marketing thinks revenue means sales closed, finance thinks it means cash in bank, and sales thinks it means contracts signed.
And they spend half of every meeting arguing about whose spreadsheet is right. I have been in that meeting. It is painful.
Fabric IQ forces a truce. You define revenue in the semantic model in one lake. Now, every single agent, whether it's helping a salesperson or a casual user in Excel, uses that exact same definition.
So we have a shared source of truth. The agents aren't guessing. They're looking up the definition in the dictionary.
Correct. And then you have the third layer, Foundry IQ.
This is the technical layer. The notes mention RAG retrieval augmented generation.
Argue is just a fancy way of saying the AI looks stuff up before it answers. But Foundry IQ introduces something called agentic retrieval.
Agentic retrieval. It sounds active. It sounds like it has agency.
It does. Standard RAG is passive. You ask a question, the system runs a search query, grabs the top 3 results, and summarizes them. If the search results were bad, the answer is bad.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's a one-shot attempt. Right. Agentic retrieval acts more like a human researcher. It plans the query, it searches. Then, and this is the magic part, it reflects. It looks at what it found and asks itself, does this actually answer the user's question?
And if the answer is no,
It searches again. It iterates. It might change its search terms. It might look in a different folder. It thinks before it speaks.
that creates a feedback loop inside the brain.
And the stats are wild. The research shows that using this agentic retrieval improves response relevance by 36% compared to standard search. In the world of AI accuracy, a 36% jump is generational.
That's the difference between a tool you play with and a
Yeah,
tool you trust.
exactly.
So we have the philosophy action over investigation. We have the brain, the unified context layer. But usually, building this kind of stuff requires a team of 50 PhDs and a budget of $10 million. If this is so complex, how does a regular company actually turn it on?
That is the bottleneck Microsoft is trying to break. They know there aren't enough data scientists in the world to build these ontologies from scratch for every company, so their play is democratization.
Which is a buzzword we hear a lot, democratizing data. What does it actually mean here?
It means turning your business analysts, the people who already know how the company runs, into the architects of this brain. And here's the genius move. They aren't asking you to start from a blank page.
Because nobody wants to sit down and write a dictionary for their entire company. That sounds like a nightmare project that never ends.
Exactly. Microsoft looked around and realized companies already have semantic models. They're just hiding
Hiding where?
in Power BI.
Of course. The dashboards. Every week, some analyst is meticulously defining sales regions and product categories just to make the charts look right.
There are something like 20 million semantic models already existing in Power BI. Microsoft's strategy is take those models, use Fabric IQ to verify them, and then let a business analyst just add the rules.
So you're taking the work you've already done for your Tuesday morning reports and promoting it. You're telling the system, hey, these rules that make the pie chart work,
Right.
those are now the laws of physics for our AI agents.
Precisely. You don't need to be a coder. You define the rule. If inventory drops below 10, reorder. The analyst does that via a low-code interface, and suddenly, that logic is accessible to every agent in the company.
And we're seeing this hit the end user tools too. The notes mention agent mode in Word and Excel. It feels like the payout for all that back-end work.
It is. Agent mode is a shift in how we interact with the Office apps. It's
Yeah.
not just write me a paragraph. The agent actively edits. It reasons through changes. It shows its work.
And it was something called notebook grounding, which caught my eye,
Yeah, that's a great feature. You can tell the agent, only use these 5 files to answer me.
which stops it from drifting off into general internet knowledge.
It keeps the agent grounded in your reality. If you're writing a legal brief, you don't want the AI citing Wikipedia. You want it citing the 3 case files you just uploaded. Notebook grounding enforces that boundary.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. We're talking about giving AI agents the ability to execute tasks, update databases, move supply chains, and edit contracts. That sounds, frankly, it sounds like a recipe for disaster if it goes wrong.
The sorcerer's apprentice problem.
Exactly. I ask it to clean the floor. 10 minutes later, the castle is flooded. What happens if I build a rogue agent?
This is where governance comes in, and the sources call it DIY governance, centered around registry.
A registry, like a phone book for robots.
Basically, you need a central list of all your agents. Identification, accountability, ownership. If an agent messes up, whose desk does that land on? You can't just blame the algorithm.
And surely not all agents are created equal. A bot that orders lunch is different from a bot that approves loans.
Right. The framework uses risk tiers. Tier 1 might be a personal productivity bot low risk. Tier 3 might be a bot that screens job candidates or handles financial transfers. High risk. You need different rules for different tiers.
And are there technical safety nets?
Mhm.
Or is it just policy and hoping people follow it?
No, there are hard technical guardrails. One of the coolest is something called the Semantic classifier, or the L3 ranker.
The L3 ranker, that sounds like a sci-fi weapon system.
It's actually a filter. Think of it as a bouncer at the club. It's a small, fast language model that sits in front of the big, expensive AI.
What's its job?
Its job is to score documents for relevance before the main AI even sees them. It looks at the data coming in and says, this is garbage, this is irrelevant, or this is malicious, and it kicks it out.
So it prevents the garbage in problem we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It ensures the main brain only processes high-quality, relevant data that drastically reduces hallucinations.
And then you have the security layer. Because just because the AI knows a secret doesn't mean I should know it.
That's where Microsoft Purview comes in. It's the permission layer. Let's say an agent is searching for budget cuts. It finds a file named confidential executive salaries.
A file I definitely do not have clearance to see.
Right. The agent might read it technically, but Purview steps in and says, stop. The user asking this question does not have the clearance. The agent effectively forgets it saw the file and tells you, I couldn't find anything.
That is critical. The agent can't be a backdoor to bypass security clearance.
That permission awareness has to be baked into the retrieval process, or no enterprise CISO would ever approve this technology.
So let's zoom out. We've built the brain, we've secured it, we've democratized it so analysts can run it. The big question left is it worth the hassle? This sounds like a lot of infrastructure.
The numbers suggest it is. We aren't talking about marginal gains here.
Give me the stats.
We're seeing reports of 132% to 353% ROI over 3 years.
353%. That is aggressive. That sounds like vendor marketing math.
It is aggressive, but when you dig into where it comes from, it starts to make sense. It's not one big thing. It's the compounding effect of efficiency. For example, 25% faster onboarding for new hires.
25% faster onboarding is real money. That's getting a new employee productive weeks earlier.
Exactly. If a new hire can ask an agent, how do I process a claim, and get the correct internal answer immediately, instead of bugging a manager or searching a wiki for 3 hours, that adds up.
Sure.
There was a specific example of HR advisors. Using Copilot, they were 26% faster at responding to inquiries.
About a quarter of their day given back.
And 20% faster product launches. That's where the ROI hits 350%. If you beat your competitor in a market by 2 months because your internal processes aren't bogged down in email chains, that's massive revenue.
And that ties back to that operational approach we started with. We aren't just finding insights. We are shaving time off every single transaction in the company.
And that's the shift. We're moving from experimentation, playing with ChatGPT, to write funny poems, to operational reliance. The ROI comes when the ontology is solid, the trust is established, and you actually let the agent do the work.
So let's bring this all together. We're seeing a move away from the investigator model where we stare at graphs toward an operational model where agents act on our behalf.
Right.
And to do that safely, Microsoft is building a unified context layer 1 brain that connects work, data, and retrieval, governed by these semantic contracts.
And powered by the semantic models businesses have already built in Power BI, making it accessible to regular analysts, not just supercoders.
It feels like we are on the edge of a totally new way of organizing a company. It's less of a hierarchy of people and more a network of logic.
I think we are, and it raises a really provocative thought for everyone listening. Think about the value of this ontology, this digital map of your business rules and logic. If the agents know the rules better than the humans, and the agents can coordinate at a scale humans can't, does the role of the manager change?
Whoa. Walk me through that.
Well, right now, a manager's job is largely enforcing rules. Did you file that report? Is this compliant? Did you talk to the other team? But if the ontology handles the rules and the coordination,
Then the manager isn't managing people anymore.
are we moving to a world where a manager's job is managing the ontology, tweaking the rules, refining the logic, and letting the agents execute?
That is a wild thought. You're not managing the team. You're managing the code that runs the team.
The ontology might become more valuable than the business software itself. It's the DNA of the company, digitized.
Well, on that slightly mind-bending note, we're going to wrap up. It gives middle management a whole new meaning.
It certainly does.
Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the brain behind the agents. We'll see you next time. Keep managing that ontology.